Just for a brief history of how we arrived at this point, Beam launched on board SpaceX 8, the SpaceX Dragon unmanned commercial resupply cargo craft back on April 8th. The vehicle launching atop a Falcon 9 rocket from the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. The launch successful, putting Dragon into orbit just minutes after that liftoff on a clear Friday afternoon. Dragon then arrived at the station back on April 10th and was grappled by the station's Canadarm2. Earlier this morning, of course, though, the operation to extract Beam from Dragon's trunk, where Dragon commonly carries unpressurized cargo, different payloads attached to the outside of the International Space Station, took place. This extraction beginning at right around 1:20 a.m. Central Time, 2:20 a.m. Eastern Time, with the Canadarm2 grappling on to the Bigelow Expandable Activity Module and beginning to slowly extract it. And that brings us to where we are right now. Beam again just inches away from the aft port of the Tranquility module, where it is going to be attached for the next 2 years. During that time, crew members will enter Beam periodically to take various measurements and monitor the performance of the module. This again, the first ever human-rated expandable structure to be launched into space. Beam, once it's expanded, so that not happening today, that will happen a little bit later on in the end of May, after there's plenty of time for leak checks and other checkouts before the actual expansion begins. And here you can see Beam beginning to close that distance in. But the expandable module, once it's fully expanded, will have roughly the same amount of cubic volume as a small bedroom. It'll have a cubic volume of 565 cubic feet, weighing in at just a little over 3,100 pounds.
Station Houston on 2, SSRMS mode to limp complete. Go for second stage capture.
And so
130 is in work.
Houston copies.
So at this point, first stage capture has been completed. Those initial latches in place. Now Jeff Williams working on second stage capture, getting ready to drive the series of 16 bolts that will secure Beam in place for its spot for the next 2 years. And just now getting confirmation, second stage capture has been completed, and that coming at 4:36 a.m. Central Time, 5:36 a.m. Eastern Time, while the station was about 255 statute miles over the southern Pacific Ocean. And there we get sunlight coming up. You can see Beam there attached to the Tranquility module. Again, the robotic arm still attached. It should be backing away in just a little bit. But Beam successfully attached. That second stage capture coming at 4:36 a.m. Central Time, 5:36 a.m. Eastern.